This is part 2 and the final interactive lecture of the Quality Improvement Tools lecture series. A flowchart is a picture of the separate steps of a process in sequential order. It is a useful way to examine how the various steps in a process relate to each other. Elements that may be included are a sequence of actions, materials or services entering or leaving the process. These are also called inputs and outputs. Decisions that must be made, people who become involved, time involved at each step, and/or process measurements. Also, the process described can be anything: a manufacturing process, an administrative or service process, or a project plan. This is a generic tool that can be adapted for a wide variety of purposes. Looking at the example, should we play golf today? We see that a task is represented by the rectangles, decisions by diamonds, and an oval represents the terminator or start or end of a process. Review the basic flowchart symbols in the chapter. A focus group is a customer-oriented approach for collecting information, wherein a group of participants unfamiliar with each other meet to discuss and share ideas about a certain issue. This is a useful qualitative analysis tool for helping to understand the beliefs and perceptions of the population represented by the group. Examples would be of parents of preschools to meet to discuss views on local child care programs, a focus group meeting to discuss a new appraisal system at a corporation. Finally, maybe a focus group could be a town meeting to discuss how to better fight fires by replacing and upgrading equipment. A force field analysis is a tool that uses a creative process for encouraging agreement about all facets of a desired change. Force field analysis is based on the assumption that any situation is the result of forces for and against the current state being in equilibrium. Countering the opposing forces and/or increasing the favorable forces will help induce a change. A Gantt chart is a type of chart used by project managers and others in planning and control to display planned work and targets as well as work that has been completed. The figure shows a Gantt chart used to plan a benchmarking study. 12 weeks are indicated on the timeline. There are 2 milestone events. What are they? Well, it's the diamonds, presentation plan to council, and present new process plan to council. The rest of the task are activities that stretch over periods of time. The arrow at the bottom indicates where we are at with the project. The project in time would be towards the end of the 5th week. How many tasks are complete? The team has finished 6 tasks. This is evident by the completely shaded bars, which represent completion. Roughly, what is the percentage of completion for the task identifying benchmark partners and scheduling visits? The team estimates it is 1/4 finished with identifying benchmark partners and scheduling visits. Because 1/4 of the bar is shaded, this identifies the completion. Team members have not yet begun to identify the current state. What is the percentage for the task collect public data? Well, they are halfway through collecting public data, which puts them slightly ahead of schedule for the task. Which tasks are they behind schedule on? They are behind schedule on 3 tasks: identify benchmark partners, identify current state, and develop benchmark questions. Perhaps they need to relocate their workforce to be able to cover the 3 activities simultaneously. A histogram is a bar chart used to plot the frequency with which different values of a given variable occur. It can be used to measure process control. For the process to be stable, it must be bell-shaped, centered, and have an appropriate spread. More information can be seen in the link above, typical histogram shapes and what they mean. Matrix diagram and analysis is the next quality improvement tool. The matrix diagram clarifies problematic spots throughout multidimensional thinking. Matrix analysis quantifies and arranges matrix diagram data so that the information is easy to visualize and comprehend. Multi-voting is a quick and easy way for a group to identify the items of the highest priority in a list. Multi-voting narrows a large list of possibilities to a smaller list of the top priorities or to a final selection. Multi-voting is preferable to straight voting because it allows an item that is favored by all, but not the top choice of any, to rise to the top. The nominal group technique is a structured process that identifies and ranks major problems or issues that needs addressing. It is a structured method for group brainstorming that encourages contributions from everyone. An example would be determining major strengths of a department. A Pareto chart is a bar graph. The lengths of the bars represent frequency or cost and are arranged with the longest bars on the left and the shortest to the right. In this way, the chart visually depicts which situations are more significant. In other words, the Pareto chart is a graphic representation of frequency with which certain events occur. It's a rank order chart that displays the relative importance of variables in a data set and may be used to set priorities regarding opportunities for improvement. I find the Pareto chart most useful when trying to present data, such as in a meeting. Take a look at the example. I might make the comment, according to the Pareto chart, starting late is the main incident, accounting for approximately 27% of all rock tour incidents. We should focus on that. Unfortunately, everyone always tries to focus on broken props. Well, that accounts for less than 5%. We would be better served to focus our efforts on starting late and eliminate the highest incident rate among dissatisfied audience members. The Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle is a 4-step model for carrying out change. Just as a circle has no end, the PDCA should be repeated again and again for continuous improvement. Poka-yokes are all about preventing mistakes from being made. It is mistake-proofing or making it impossible to do a task incorrectly. A few examples. Color coding is often a poka-yoke. Like green is used for many start buttons and red for stop buttons. We are used to traffic lights, so this triggers a relationship. Next example. An automatic car must be in park before you can start it. Why is that important? Well, if you were in first gear and you start it without your foot on the brake, it will roll forward. Along the same lines, if the car is not in park when you turn off the ignition, you can't remove the keys. This would be a reminder to put it in park first. Another example. If you have a filing cabinet, many have a safety mechanism that will prevent you from opening more than one drawer. This is to prevent you from turning the cabinet over, because the top 2 drawers are open and the center of gravity shifts forward. Means crushing you. Check out the website from Toyota System. It has a few clever poka-yokes. 2 are included on the picture. I like the phone in the shoe idea to prevent people from forgetting their phone personally. The Process Decision Program chart helps determine which processes to use to obtain the desired results by evaluating the progress of events and the variety of conceivable outcomes. The PDPC systematically identifies what might go wrong in a plan under development. Countermeasures are developed to prevent or offset those problems. By using PDPC, you can either revise the plan to avoid the problems or be ready with the best response when a problem does occur. Quality Function Deployment, also known as the House of Quality, is a planning process that transforms the voice of the customer into design specifications. QFD is a structure method that uses the 7 management and planning tools to identify and prioritize customers' expectations quickly and effectively. Take a look at the example, then take a look at your book to help see what each section is referring to. The relations diagram is a technique developed to clarify intertwined causal relationships in a complex situation in order to find an appropriate solution. The relations diagram shows cause and effect relationships. Just as importantly, the process of creating a relations diagram helps a group analyze the natural links between different aspects of a complex situation. A resource allocation matrix plans the allocation of resources such as personnel, equipment, facilities, and funds. Your book has an excellent example. The run chart is a line graph that shows data points plotted in the order in which they occur. It is used to reveal trends and shifts in the process over time to show variation over time. A run chart is the simplest of charts. It is a single line plotting some value over time. A run chart can help you spot upward and downward trends, and it can show you a general picture of a process. A control chart also plots a single line of data over time. However, control charts differ from run charts in that they include upper and lower control limit lines with a center line. The scatter diagram is a chart in which one variable is plotted against another to determine whether there is a correlation between the two variables. The scatter diagram graphs pairs of numerical data with one variable on each axis to look for a relationship between them. If the variables are correlated, the points will fall along a line or curve. The better the correlation, the tighter the points will hug the line. Let's take a look at the example, car age compared to the price. We see that there is a high negative correlation. As the car gets older, the age increases. The value or price of the car drops. This example cracks me up. It's definitely not realistic. I wish when I bought my 2-year-old car that it only would have cost me $3,000. Total quality management is an approach to quality management that emphasizes a thorough understanding by all members of an organization of the needs and desires of the ultimate product or service recipients. A viewpoint of wishing to provide world-class products or services to internal and external customers, and finally a knowledge of how to use specific data-related techniques and process improvement tools to assess and improve the quality of all organizational outputs. To be a TQM company, they must be customer-focused, have total employee involvement, be process-centered, be focused on continual improvement, have fact-based decision-making communications, have an integrated system, and have a strategic and systematic approach. A tree diagram is a graphic representation of the separation of broad, general information into increasing levels of detail. The tree diagram starts with one item that branches into two or more, each of which branch into two or more, and so on. It looks like a tree with trunk and multiple branches. It is used to break down broad categories into finer and finer levels of detail. Developing the tree diagram helps you move your thinking step by step from generalities to specifics. Well, you made it through Part 1 and Part 2 of the Quality Improvement Tools series. Congratulations! I know that it's a lot of information and a little overwhelming. Be sure not to overcomplicate the diagrams and concepts. Hopefully many looked somewhat familiar, and now we just know the proper name for them. Hang in there. To conclude, let's do a random trivia question. Who is the character sitting on the end in the image?